6-7, imaginary letter I or number I, day 2. Remember, I equals the square root of -1, I squared equals -1. With that being said, here come some equations. So what we're going to do on this one, we're just going to subtract 64 from both sides. X squared equals -64. And what we're going to do is we're going to apply this. Bada boom, bada bing, do the right thing. So we'll pull my rope just for this moment, because that helps us remember there's going to be a plus or minus answer. So we get x equals plus or minus. What do? Take the I out. And so what we end up getting is plus or minus 8i. That's how you properly write it. So if you were here and you went like this, and all you did was take the square root of both sides, and you said x equals 8i, see, that would technically be wrong. Also, this is an easy setup to put like option A on a multiple choice test, and students would circle it thinking they got it right, but it's not right. Remember, bada boom, bada bing, do the right thing. You got to get in the habit of doing that because there's going to be 2 possibilities. With that being said, I'm going to tackle this one. Subtract x squared from both sides. So I get 3x squared equals -18. Divide by 3 because you're going to get the x squared by itself. And here we go. Bada boom, bada bing, do the right thing. So we get x equals plus or minus, take the I out, the square root of 6 does not break down, so you're done. All right, so this one, don't you dare add these together and get the square root of -26. No way. You can't add these as they're considered not like terms, so we tackle them individually. So we go I square root of 8, ask yourself the question, can I keep breaking that down? Yes. Square root of 4, square root of 2 with an I coming along, and then you get 2I square root of 2. Now we're going to tackle this one. Take the I out, we're left with 18. Does the 18 break down? Yes, 9 and 2, and the I comes along for the ride. What's the square root of 9? 3. So this gives us 3I square root of 2. Now, there's a plus sign, so I'm going to put that in there. Notice the radical 2's are the same. Those are considered like radicals. In other words, like 3 square root of 2 plus 2 square root of 2 equals 5 square root of 2. That's what we're going to do right here. But there's a sneaky little I, so don't forget about it. You're just going to get 5I square root of 2. Why didn't the I turn into I squared? We're not multiplying. We're adding. So we're done. Now we do have a multiplication problem. Again, in the previous lesson, we had a problem just like this because some students are going to want to multiply that together. A negative times a negative is positive, and that would be 144, and they're like, sweet, it's 12. That's wrong. Got to deal with this individually. That's the key to this whole lesson. So I square root of 8, that breaks down into I square root of 4 square root of 2, which is 2I square root of 2, times... Now we got to attack this. Take the I out, left with 18. We got a 9 and a 2. That turns into 3I square root of 2, which we need to multiply it now. So this times this. So now what's 2 times 3? 6. What's I times I? I squared. What's the square root of 2 times the square root of 2? 2. Well, what's 6 times 2? 12. What's I squared? -1. So we get -12. All right, last couple problems. This isn't too bad. Again, don't you dare multiply this stuff together. That's the big temptation. We've got to deal with this individually. Start by taking the I out. Then we're going to do the same thing with this one. I'm just going to tackle this in the same manner I tackled this. I square root of 3a. And why am I doing that on this case? Well, I'm going to show you something. What's I times I? That's I squared. Now listen, this is a real number. This is a real number. See, in that case, I can think now like this. because you've been taught that you can multiply square roots. So we're going to apply that to this. So this circle times this circle, if we multiply it together, we'd get the square root of 36a squared. And if you notice that, look at, what's the square root of 36? 6. What's the square root of a squared? A. So I got to multiply this now by this, but what's I squared? Negative 1. So if I multiply this by this, I get negative 6a. So my son Jonathan's sneaking through the room. Would you like to give any word of encouragement to my Algebra 2B class, Jonathan?
Pay attention.
Pay attention. Well said. Well said. All right. So last problem, I think, for this section. Yep. So again, how do we attack these? Individually. But this gets the Mr. Nasty Award. Got to throw a zinger in once in a while just to make sure you guys know you're in Algebra 2, not Algebra 1. So, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So we're going to tackle that first. Here's our bite. We're going to take the eye out. But look at, well, I'll just show my steps. Take the eye out, but don't lose track of your Christmas gifts. What's the square root of 25? 5. So we get 5i square root of a cubed. Now all of a sudden, Algebra 2 is taking you back a few lessons. You have to think, wait a minute. Now I can take a perfect square root. What's the first number? Remember, there's a little invisible 2 there in the index. What's the first number less than 3 that this index will go into evenly? A 2. So I take out 2. I'd be left with 1. What's the square root of a squared? A. So this turns into 5ai square root of a. See why this is going to be Mr. Nasty? Now you're going to be challenged here. Do these two negatives cancel? No, 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 no. So I'm just going to bring that minus down right now. Do not mix these two negatives, because this one, you're going to have to take the I out, and you'd be left with 225a cubed. Now maybe you have this memorized, maybe you don't, but the square root of 225 is 15. So that's going to turn into 15i square root of a cubed. Notice we have the same thing over here, and then we went here. So we're going to do the same thing. 15i square root of a squared square root of a. What's the square root of a squared? A. So I get 15ai square root of a. And then this last one's not too bad. I just have to take the I out. So this turns into 20ai square root of a. So all I did was take the I out of that. And then I stack it down here, 20ai square root of a. Now strangely, this and this and this, they're all identical. So these are considered like terms. Now I'm going to add my positives together, so 20 and 5 makes 25 of them. 25 of them minus 15 of them is 5 of them. That's it. All right. Your assignment is 1 through 8, I think. Yep, 1 through 8, page 43.